Hey guys, George Streicher here. I've been getting a bunch of questions about how I made some of these videos for my channel, namely the Disney Parks videos, where I have a lot of cool graphics going on and the music is inspired by some rides and attractions at the Disney Parks. So I thought I'd make a video kind of breaking down each of these, breaking down the graphics and then also breaking down the compositions themselves. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take you guys through this comp here in After Effects, show you how I put this whole thing together for the Age of Flight video. And then I was going to take you guys through the stems, the final mix stems for the piece, just so you can kind of hear what everything's doing and hear all the different sample libraries I was using. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have in the comments. And please leave those below and I'll try to get to them as quickly and clearly as possible. So to get started, here we are in this final comp where I sort of put everything together as video layers. First thing I did was I bought this airplane hanger, which had doors you could animate to open and close. I have a little camera in this space that I lit. I added this now boarding sign, which of course changes to the welcome back sign at the end. Had to animate all the lights in this space, the lights on the sign that kind of flicker and flash on and off. Had to make the light affect the area around it. So lots of work. I did all of that in Element 3D from Video Copilot, which I know probably isn't the best software to do that in, but you know, worked out fine for me. Now the whole point of this video was to emulate a simulator ride film from the 80s and 90s. So I used the VHS effect just to sort of further the nostalgic and vintage feel of it. But I also threw some film grain on it. And I did one other thing that I think really sold the effect, is I replicated a optical printer title and an optical shake on this 3D title here. So if you guys don't know what that is, back in the old days, when they used to do titles, it was either done with cell animation, where it'd be on a clear cell, and they'd composite that over the background. In this case, I was replicating something where they probably would have shot an actual physical model that was a cutout of this logo, and flown a camera at it with a motion control camera, and then through optical printing, combine all those pieces of film, which in this case would be the cloud background, and the photograph title into one piece of film, which makes it look like it's flying out of the clouds. So to sort of emulate what that would look like, I added these little black lines around the text, which were to emulate the kind of matte lines that would appear when in an optical printer process it wouldn't line up perfectly. And I also added something called an optical shake, which is a result of the actual mechanical process of the many layers of film being put over each other and the little bits of movement that the film has going through the projectors. And how I did that was actually really interesting. I actually tracked the opening titles of Jurassic Park. I took a motion tracker and I attached it to these letters, and as you can see when I play this back, the text is kind of jittering a little. And that's because of the film passing through the gate. So I wanted to make sure that my optical track was authentic. So I went ahead and just tracked this title, threw it on a null object, and paired it to my 3D title. And I'm going to go ahead and play this back for you guys. I'll show you with and without the optical shake. And you'll see the difference it makes in making it look like a authentic optical printer title effect. So yeah, that's just one of the many little details I brought to this project to try and make it feel more authentic and certainly a lot more nostalgic, including these kind of ridiculous trailed echoey motion blur things. The rest of the video was pretty simple. This is literally just a screen captured window of my DAW, which in this case is Logic X. And I just got some stock footage clouds, foreground, background layers, did a little bit of masking, some color keying, softened everything up and just kind of combined it all together. And of course at the end here I just did a reverse of the camera move through the hangar with the doors closing behind and changed the sign to welcome back. Now here's a look at the hangar in the actual 3D space. This is the 3D model of the hangar. If I take this camera, I can move it around. So if I turn the camera over here to the right, you can see it's not lit. Doesn't really hold up. But of course the point of this was to kind of make it look like a not necessarily crummy or cheaply produced, but certainly indicative of the 80s, 90s quality of CGI. Wasn't quite where we are today, for sure. Then it was just as simple as animating the doors opening, which just opened up into an alpha layer. which I would then export this thing out as an Apple ProRes 4x4 and drop that into my Final Comp project. This saves a lot of time rendering and processing, and I can easily kind of scrub through things and adjust color and various timings to each layer without having to deal with having a live 3D environment here. So that's pretty much it for the graphics end. I know it's definitely glossing over a lot of details of how I built it, but it was really just as simple as me downloading the model, bringing it into Element 3D, lighting it in After Effects, adding this little 3D text thing up here, all within Element 3D, nothing special. Great plugin from Video Copilot. This title was created in it too. So now I think I'm going to take you guys through the final mix stems of the Age of Flight cue. I have my brass high percussion keys, which would include harp and piano. I have my strings, I have my low percussion. There's a synth stem here because I used a lot of synth effects in this to kind of capture that 80s, 90s vibe. And of course I have my woodwind stem here. Now structurally this piece was very much so influenced by Jerry Goldsmith's Soarin' piece from the Disney's California Adventure. I really wanted to take the idea of this melody and take it through all kinds of different orchestrations, modulate the heck out of it, and really try and develop it interestingly. And I think the end product turned out pretty darn well. Now for the musicians out there, the libraries I used were primarily the Cinematic Studio series here. I used Cinematic Studio Brass and Cinematic Studio Strings. Then for percussion, I used my favorite Cine Perk, and of course the CineWinds library. I also used City Piano for the piano. And for the synths, I used a bunch of Arturia patches, including this Prophet 5, as well as the DX7 library, both from Arturia. This was brilliantly mixed by Michael Bauska. You can go check out his website here, and I'll drop it in the description. He's mixed a lot of my stuff today, and I'm always happy with the final product. So without any further ado, here are the individual stems from the final mix of the Age of Flight piece. I'll take you guys through all of these so you can hear all the little details, and hear how all these sample libraries worked and how the orchestration worked, and also so you can hear how each individual section was treated in the mix. So remain seated and enjoy the stems. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for checking this out. Hope everybody stays safe, and stay tuned for another video breaking down some more of these cues and graphics that I've posted on my channel.